Okay, we are live. Hello, humans. I'm Dr. Sarah Happening with Performances Happening, and we help humans live happier, healthier lives by applying performance science to wellness, leadership, and help brains thrive with a specific focus on neurodivergence in the workplace. I'm so excited today to have this conversation as part of our spotlight for the upcoming Art and Science of Health Promotion Conference, which starts next week here in Colorado at Colorado Springs, and you can still get your ticket. It's put on by the Wellness Alliance, and every single human that I've talked to so far has had nothing but amazing things to say. And today we have a very special guest who is going to tell us all about the conference. I am joined today by Dr. Jessica Grossmeier. Did I say your last name right? I didn't ask before I.
Oh, yeah, it's Grossmeier is the correct, but
Grossmeier.
I will answer to Grossmeier if that's what people say.
Grossmeier, my bad. My apologies. Okay, Jessica is an award-winning researcher, international speaker, and author of 2 books, one of them being Reimagining Workplace Well-being and Well-being at Work. She spent her career helping organizations understand what actually works when it comes to building cultures where humans can thrive. And she is also serving as this year's conference chair. So I'm really excited to have Jessica here. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's a delight. As I said in the pre-show, I've been enjoying seeing what you're doing with these and can't wait to go back and watch some of those that I've missed.
Yeah, it's been so fun. Every human that I've talked to has just been only nice things to say about this conference, and specifically telling me how they look forward every year. And this is one of their favorite conferences. Mm-hmm. And I do these kind of interview series before I speak. I have been doing it for the last year or so. And some conferences are a little more academic, or boring isn't the right word. I'll use academic. It's a little more like in the world of academia. But this one, I'm so excited because wellness is my world. Wellness is my background. And I already know a lot of people who are going to this conference. So I'm really looking forward to actually experiencing what it's like. And I've never been at the Broadmoor, and I've only heard good things about the Broadmoor too. So win-win.
Oh, okay. You are in for a treat. You are in for a treat.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, so as conference chair, you got to select the theme for the conference. What about this year's theme excites you the most?
Okay, at the risk of being long-winded, I want to start by sharing a story about what inspired this theme. So we put the conference call for proposals together pretty quickly after each year's conference because it takes time to go through all of the submissions. And as I was attending the conference last year in Arizona, I was already thinking about what our theme was going to be, and I started to talk to other people. So I was thinking it was probably going to have something to do with technology related to all the talk about AI. And if I landed there, it wouldn't have been wrong, right? I mean, that's what everyone's talking about. But there were several sessions at the conference last year that caused me to pivot and really elevated the theme for this year, neuroscience, to my attention. So first was a breakout session led by Dr. Bob Swope. By the way, he will be back again this year. So those of you who are Bob Swope fans, he'll be back. His session last year was about the influence of, get this, music, movement, and mindfulness on well-being. And in true art and science form, he started by sharing the neuroscientific foundations that explain how and why music, movement, and mindfulness contribute to better physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being. And then he led us through experiential practices of singing together, dancing together, practicing, expressing mindful appreciation to one another. And then we debriefed, like, well, what happened? What did we feel? What did we notice individually and collectively? I think it was one of my favorite sessions last year. And so I came out of that session already inspired. That was pretty early in the conference. And I was starting to think about, wow, I love how we really tied in the neuroscience underneath some of these other topics. And then next was a keynote session by Vic Strecker. He shared his research on the influence of purpose, belonging, and hope on well-being. But he also started by explaining how we're biologically wired for connection and belonging, and also what happens inside our brain when we have a deeper sense of purpose, and how that neural activity helps to inspire our intrinsic motivation to take care of ourselves, among other things. And then finally, there was a session from Wendy Lynch, who will also be back this year, about the business case for social connection at the workplace. And again, she started with underlying neuroscience. So it wasn't until I was like back home reviewing my notes from the conference that I started to pull the threads of these sessions together and develop the neuroscience theme. So if you've read our theme statement on the website, you know that this conference is about understanding how our brain and nervous system enable us to think, feel, behave, and regulate our bodily functions. Also, understanding this connection can help us to design interventions and to create environments that promote healthier behaviors and better support well-being. So this year's sessions are going to share how neuroscience is shaping new and emerging approaches to long-standing issues in health promotion, like loneliness, like mental health, like sustainable behavior change. We can tap into this emerging neuroscience to understand how to work more effectively as a field. So that's what I'm excited about.
That's so awesome. Is it Bob who is going to be hosting the static dance session?
Yes, backed by popular demand, a static dance is happening. And he actually shared with me, I don't mean to steal his thunder, but he is about to launch some significant research on the foundations and underpinnings of a static dance, both for the participants and the facilitators. So if you have a chance to go to a static dance, do go. It's really an amazing experience.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I think, well, I love neuroscience, but I think combining learning and taking action and the science, and I mean, I'm a huge advocate for half of my organization is like brain and body training, but the way that you think, the way that you train your brain, and the fact that like they're finally discovering that we can create new pathways and new thinking, and you're never too old to make changes for your health, well-being, relationship, career, whatever it is. So I'm super excited. I mean, I'm already a neuroscience nerd, but I think that's awesome. And yeah, of course, I mean, every conference right now is like AI based. And it's very trendy to, I mean, even my business coach says, you say it like this and then say an AI friendly, or not quite those words, but she's like, add AI onto it. And I'm like, okay, but like humans are, it's easier from what we do, because I know we're both in the wellness world. It's easier to connect with humans and make change human wise. And sure, AI is a great tool, but I think what we do is never going to be replaced by AI. There are certain other industries and occupations that might be, but a big part of what we do is humanism. And I think that's super important right now. And neuroscience is a big part of why we are different than AI. So that's awesome. So I'm kudos to you for picking this topic. I think that's going to be amazing. And such a powerful direction right now, especially with all the things that are happening. Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm excited. And as I said, I've never been to this conference, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. Okay, so how is this conference unique or different compared to other health promotion conferences?
Yeah, so I've been going to conferences in the health promotion space for 25-ish plus years, and this one continues to stand out for me. First and foremost, it has always emphasized content with rigorous scientific backing. And our planning committee members are sticklers for this. We receive way more submissions than we can accept, and it is the science that helps us understand which ones we should accept. We often turn away submissions on compelling hot topics because they lack scientific rigor. It's like, yeah, that's hot, that's trending. You're a great speaker, but if you don't have the science to back up what you're saying, you're not going to get accepted to this conference. So I like going to this conference because I can go knowing people in the background have been doing the work to make sure whatever is being presented is evidence-based. At the same time, we demand the content be presented in an approachable, practical way. So these are not dry academic research presentations. There must be something that helps us to think about, well, how do we talk about this in practical terms and apply it in the real world? And that's why it's called the art and science of health promotion. I think the other thing that makes this conference unique is its multi-sector nature. So many conferences now are so specific to, occupational health, or maybe to clinical medicine, or to, certain settings. The thing that makes this conference unique to me is its multi-sector nature. Health promotion happens in a variety of settings: community, healthcare, education, government, corporate. This conference aims to offer content that is going to be relevant to pretty much anybody: individuals, patients, employees, students, faith-based communities, military service members, and even tribal and indigenous communities. So we specifically select our submissions for the conference to make sure that they're meeting a broad variety of settings. And I think that's why people keep coming back.
I love that. I love that distinction. I love how it combines art and science and how it's accessible to everybody. And I think having such a neuroscience, making sure the presenters that are presenting are evidence-based, but at the end of the day, it's so funny. It doesn't matter who I talk to. We're humans. So there's not just like one thing. And I always joke, people are like, who do you help? And I'm like, I help a lot of school districts and healthcare, but like, if you have a brain and a body, this will apply because you're humans. And it's not just one thing, right? Or one organization or one, like, it's not niche down. And I feel like whoever shows up to this conference, they're going to learn, and they're going to have the ability to take what they learn and apply it. Whether immediately or in their organization, or if they're a practitioner or a student. And I'm just so excited. I'm really pumped about this because I heard about this conference through you on LinkedIn. And I guess it wasn't last year because last year was in Arizona. Was it 2 years ago that it was at the Broadmoor? Or 3 years ago?
It would have been 3 years ago.
Yeah. So that was the last time when I heard about it, but it happened to be the same weekend. I had family in town, so I couldn't go, but it's all working out. And I'm glad to be selected, and especially talking about neurodiversity because that's my super passion right now. But that's awesome. Okay, so if you're a first-time attendee like myself,
yes,
what can I expect, and how can I best prepare for this experience?
Okay, so we had a session for anybody who attends the conference. If you were a registered attendee or a registered person, we had a session last week that was a prep session. And one of the things that we really emphasized during that prep session is the making connections part of it. So in terms of what you can expect, more than half of our attendees every year are first timers. And then the rest of them are all people who keep coming back year over year over year. So we design for connection in the conference. And I'm going to say more about that later. In terms of how to best prepare, there are 2 key ways I recommend people prepare for the conference. First, go to the website and check out the agenda. We have details on each session and the speakers each day. Give yourself some time to go through it and just start to identify what feels most interesting to you. And then give yourself permission to follow your curiosity and explore a new topic that isn't directly related to your work. I can't tell you how many times I go to conferences and I'm like, well, I really want to go to that, but I should go to this. Give yourself permission to do sessions that you really, really are interested in. And then maybe talk to some friends who have gone, or people who've gone to the other ones during lunch hours and during breaks, and be like, hey, I was going to go to that one. What did you get out of it? And then we will be, they're not all there yet, but there will be all of the slides in the app that you can download in advance. So you can go and see, well, I kind of want to see what the slides are going to be like, because that might give me some indication of, is this information I already know, right? And for you, I think that would be really, really helpful, because you could be like, oh no, this is a primer, like I'm up here. So I think that would be really helpful. And then think about your own well-being, right? You're a human being coming into this, you're investing a lot of time. What do you most need from a well-being standpoint? Maybe it's rest. And so build into your conference plan what it is you need. we've put a lot of breaks into the schedule, and we've dropped some of the evening education events so that people have more time to rest and recharge after a day of learning. So consider how you'll prioritize movement and social connection and rest and learning and healthy eating. You might decide to book a massage at the spa or explore local hiking trails. Really think intentionally about, what do I want to get out of this conference, and how do I design in advance with intention? If you are sitting there on the first day during a keynote, quickly going through the conference app, trying to figure out what you're going to do, it's going to feel anxiety provoking. You're going to miss half of the first keynote, which is going to be amazing. So you don't want to do that. So keep an eye out for that. I just saw an email come from Wellness Alliance about how to download the conference app. So you're looking for the Wellness Alliance app. And if you've been to previous Wellness Alliance conferences, you might already have it. And so you just need to say, oh, I want the art and science guide, or I want access to that content. Take some time to download the app. I usually do that before I leave home, because then I have my super powerful Wi-Fi at home. And then I make some time again to go through and look at, all right, I'm going to finalize now what it is I want to do. And you can actually build out your own conference schedule in the app, and it will give you notifications like, hey, you're supposed to be at this thing over here. Because half the time you get there and you're like, shoot, what did I want to go to? Like, you can build your schedule in your app, and then you're like, okay, I can turn my brain off and just follow the app, and it will tell me where I need to be and when. So those are two big things. And, a lot of times people don't take time to do this, but it makes your conference experience so much richer.
Yeah. And then you can be mindful when you're there of the experience and not having to decide last minute. And you mentioned something that I've been caught in the loop. I go to this conference, Work Human, that's meant for HR people. But I'm all the topics that are performance-based, I'm like, yeah, let's go to that one. And then it's like they're preaching to the choir. Like, yes, you're hearing what you want to hear or what you already know. So, in not so many words, you also said, like, maybe get out of your comfort zone. And if there's something that you want to learn about or aren't so familiar with, that maybe challenge yourself a little bit. And getting a different perspective. But yeah, as humans, we seek comfort, right? So if there's something that everyone gets to have their own experience about how they do this. My question, that prep session that was last week, something was going on at the same time. So I couldn't attend. Is there a recording of that, or can we catch it somewhere?
We intentionally do not record that session because its purpose is to connect people with others. So we spent most of the time in breakout rooms.
Oh, nice.
Which some people who missed it are probably like, yay, I hate breakout rooms. Oh. This was a way to start to build those connections with people very intentionally. We created a very safe container for people to meet one another so that they could walk into the conference with some familiar faces. So that was the purpose of it. You will be getting emails with all the details, like, what do I pack? Like, what should I expect? So there will be emails coming to help with some of the logistics pieces too.
We're coming back. We froze. Did we froze on your end too? Freeze on your end?
There was a bit of a blip, but I can hear you just fine.
We're back now. Yes. So I think that you were saying that we'll get, once we register, there'll be a lot of emails with all the information.
Yes.
Yes. And I think it's great that there was that connection so that you have familiar faces when you get to the conference. This is one of the selfish reasons that I actually do these speaker interviews, so that when I go to the conference, I'm like, I know you, we're friends. So it's perfect. And also that is part of the self-determination theory, which I will be presenting on, but relatedness is one of those basic psychological needs for optimal well-being. So I already know that we're preaching the science, they're practicing, and they're preaching the science. You've been attending and speaking at this conference for many years. So what's your favorite thing, and why do you keep coming back?
Okay, so I started attending this conference about 20 years ago, I think. And initially it was to keep abreast of the emerging research in the field. All of the researchers I was reading and following were presenting at this conference. And so that initially kept me coming back. How do I stay on top of my field? But the thing that really keeps me coming back, that gets me, if I'm not chairing, I'm submitting breakout sessions so I can speak and be there. It's how warm and welcoming the vibe is. I've come to realize like I said, this is intentionally designed into the conference so that if you're coming for the first time, you don't feel overwhelmed. So we've designed a lot of different opportunities to connect with people in the conference schedule. There are, for example, making connection sessions over the lunch hour, and they invite you to sit down and share a table with people who are interested in similar topics. The conversations are very lightly facilitated around a specific topic. And so you can be like, oh, this is something I want to actually talk to people about. And you can have a place to sit for lunch, right? Because we offer lunch each core day of the conference. We've also got movement activity sessions. There's a welcome reception. And we've got some real fun for people who stick around on Friday until the end. We're going to be doing interactive segments in the main keynote space every day, but we'll be doing a longer session on the last day to get people thinking about and talking about, well, what did you learn? And what challenged you? And how are you going to use this information when you go home? So we've intentionally built a lot of that into this conference. So if you walk in and don't know anybody, you'll probably meet with you'll end up leaving with a good friend. And that's what keeps me coming back, are the people I know who are going to be there every year.
That's awesome. And I think that application, taking what you learned and figuring out how to apply, even if it's just like a short session, I think that's so important because we learn. And especially for neurodiverse brains, we love learning. It's transitioning to the doing and the taking action that's challenging. But especially if you can brainstorm with other humans who are learning the same thing, maybe in similar roles as you, or even to just be able to verbalize and discuss about what you learned and how to take it back home with you and apply it, I think is super important.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's another differentiator for this conference, that we're so intentional about the practical application.
Yeah, for sure. Nowadays, well, since wonderful COVID, there's been kind of a transition to lots of virtual conferences, and they're available. They're easily accessible from home. Why is it so important to actually attend an in-person conference when all that other virtual stuff is out there?
Yeah. So obviously the relationship building that I mentioned early, unless people are doing what we did with our virtual session last week, where we are intentionally saying, no, this session is just for social connection, you're not going to find that at a lot of conferences that are virtual. So the in-person is really about meeting new people, expanding your network, building relationships, exposing yourself to ideas that you're not already hearing every day. But I think another reason is what you mentioned earlier. It gives us an opportunity to unplug from our day-to-day and immerse ourselves in learning and professional development and even self-care. Whereas virtual events, it's pretty easy to be half there, right? Like you're distracted, like, oh, I need to go put some laundry in. My kid wants my attention. Like, no, this is for you. This is for you first and foremost, to develop yourself. And, when I attend a conference, I put a slow to reply or even an off the grid message, if I can, on my email. And I clear my plate as much as I can so that I can focus my attention on making the most of the time I have at the conference. And so I typically don't touch social media at all when I'm at a conference. If you see anything on LinkedIn from me, I posted it before I left. And so I do post and go, sorry, world. But it's really like, here's our opportunity to say, for 3 days, I'm going to focus 100% on what's going on right here, right now, and make the most out of this. And yeah, you might have to catch up on your email or whatnot, but do something just for you when you travel for work. Maybe it's a walk in nature or swim in the beautiful pool if it's warm enough, or savoring a book while on the flight, or getting an amazing latte at the airport coffee bar before you leave. Like, find ways to build gifts, little gifts to yourself into your conference experience and savor them.
I love that. I think that's good advice. Yeah.
Now I got you thinking, I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, being present, and that's for my brain type, it is very challenging, but working on mindfulness and being aware and doing the pre-prep, like you said, like download the app, look at the sessions that are happening, and give yourself permission to free your schedule to be present, right? And make those real life connections with the humans. I'm going to shift and ask you one question about your work because I have you here and I'm super interested. And then
Okay, thanks.
we'll do one more question back to the conference, and then we'll close up because
Okay, sure.
From a time perspective, but you've spent your career studying what actually works in workplace well-being, right? We all want to know more about this. Where do you think organizations are still kind of getting it wrong? And then a second part to that, what are they getting right?
Yeah. So my research and that of others consistently shows that if we want sustainable outcomes, so when we talk about what works, if we want sustainable outcomes, that's only possible when we address well-being at multiple levels. And so, yes, we must provide programs, resources, benefits that help individuals do what they can to support their own health and well-being. The challenge is that so many organizations are still stopping there. I mean, I've been doing culture of health research for, I think the first paper was in 2008. We started to study this in a real systematic way. And so there's a lot of research out there that shows we need to be addressing the broader system around the individual. We have to do this through health promoting policies, the built environment, peer support, cultural norms. There's a special role for leaders to play. And whether you're a leader in a family or a workplace or a community or an organization, I mean, these are people who influence and role model our desirable behaviors. And so one of the things that we infuse into this conference is how do we address all of those levels? So you're going to find stuff for how do I work with individuals? How do I address the system? How do I become more strategic about wrapping that container of well-being around the individual so that if they're trying to quit smoking, we're making it as easy as we possibly can with a very difficult behavior change to do that. And I think smoking is an easy one because it's like, oh, now we have smoke-free workplaces and smoke-free communities and smoke-free restaurants and like that all helps, right? It still doesn't make it a home run because it's still a really hard behavior change. But how can we expect the individual to do this all on their own? And I think more and more organizations are starting to get the message, but we need more and more organizations doing it if they really want well-being to work.
Yeah. It's never one thing, right? Like everyone wants a magic wand for the quick fix, but it's never one thing. And it's all, yeah. You're preaching to the choir.
Like, I know I am.
It's top down and it's bottom up and it's everybody and the community and the leadership and the individual and the behavior. Yeah. How you set up the culture and Okay. Last question. I'm scrolling down to my question. If you could give one piece of advice to every leader attending this conference, what would you want them to walk away with, thinking or doing differently?
Okay. To be effective leaders, whether that's in a workplace, a community, in your home, doesn't matter. If we want to be effective, we have to start with our own well-being. Prioritize that, and you're going to be a more effective leader, more patient, more compassionate, less reactive. I know I'm speaking to the choir here because this is what you study and this is what you do. We're all at different places in our well-being journey, and each individual has to identify the strategies that are going to help them to show up as the best version of themselves. And so my hope is that every single person at this conference walks away with one idea that they can apply to their own health promotion work. Here's something new I'm going to try differently, and one idea they can apply to support their own well-being journey. If we all walk away from the conference feeling inspired to try a new approach or a new tool, or we find a new resource or make a new connection that can support us, that's awesome. I also want people to come in thinking, what do I need right now for my well-being? How am I going to show up as the best version of myself? And how can I take some things away from this conference that are going to help support me in the ways that I need?
I love that.
I'm confident you're going to find a lot of opportunities to get both of those things at this conference.
Yeah. It's like putting your oxygen mask on first before helping others.
And we know this, but do we do it? No, we're last. We're last on our own priority list, right?
Yeah. Well, especially I find moms, nurses, teachers, the humans I work with usually care a lot about others. That's why I like working with them, but it's challenging, but to get them to flip the script and put themselves at the top and then trickles down to everybody else. Not only do they feel better, they do better. People want to be around them more. And it's very Well, you know how it is.
Yep.
We just got to practice what we preach. Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your insights and the work that you're doing to move this field forward. I'm so excited to meet you in real life. For the audience listening, if you want to join me for my session, Thriving with Neurodiversity in the Workplace, that is going down Thursday at 2 p.m. And you can still get a ticket. I know my audience is very much Colorado based. This is going down next week in Colorado Springs. You can still register. You can join us live. You can hang out with us at the Broadmoor. You can do ecstatic dance sessions and meet us for a lunch and hike on site, off site, all that great stuff. Reach out to Jessica if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm excited to see you in real life, Jessica, next week. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sarah, for inviting me and for all that you're doing in the world. Keep at it. It's good work.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Okay, we'll see you next week.
All right, take care. Bye.